So if you've been playing Doom Eternal for a while now, or if you've been around since launch, then you know that this game is not a stranger to drought, long periods of no new content really. No jabs, no complaints, I'm just simply saying that's kind of where we are right now. Everyone's looking forward to Master Levels, what's coming next. I actually seen this image, and I think this sums up the Doom community, well, as far as content creators go anyways, pretty nicely. You know, we pretty much beat everything to death. There's almost nothing new to talk about originally, unless you want to toss in your own opinion on something trivial. But I digress. Master Levels, that is the topic of today. Little bit of a longer video, sort of a three-parter. I wanted to talk about Master Levels in general, but also Taurus Nabad's Master Level, because if you watched Hugo Martin's last stream and you paid close attention to some of the information that they dropped, you can kind of piece together some shit we're going to be dealing with in that. And then towards the end of the video, just some suggestions on some possible future rewards for completing Ultra Nightmare, or even if we ever do get a Master Level campaign, some potential rewards in that respect. With that being said, let's talk about the Master Level for Taurus Nabad. Now I wanted to start a little bit more on the concrete stuff, because with what's said, I can kind of give you a little bit of a representation of what they're talking about here. During the live stream, I'm going to play the clip here, but Hugo talks about two rooms that are copies of each other towards the end of Taurus Nabad.
And then there's another room, the two rooms that are copies of each other at the end of Taurus Nabad. One of them is, they're both hard, but one of them is just
the second one is,
and it's really smart. Both of those rooms have really smart combat. Like, you're gonna be proud. We won't give it away, but it's like there's some smart shit in there happening. It's just the volume of guys. Like, put it this way, currently there's the two rooms that are copies of each other. And the one that we're talking about,
with the one low bar separating them.
Yeah, 2 Archviles, 2 Tyrants, 3, 4, 5 Cybermanks. I mean, like, it's bonkers.
As soon as they said 2 rooms that are copies of each other, and then Joshua goes on to say that there's a lower bar separating the room in half, I immediately thought of this room. This is the first time you enter this room, the lower bar is going to be on your right hand side. The next time, or the second room you enter, the lower bar is on your left hand side, but the rooms are basically the exact same. There's an underground tunnel, for lack of a better word. You can jump over the bar on your right or left hand side, depending on whether if you're in the first or second room, and then you can kind of go around the wall that's on the opposite end of that lower wall. These are really the only rooms I can think of, so if these are the 2 rooms that they're talking about, then they're completely right. These rooms are essentially closets, and if that description of the enemy roster that we're going to be dealing with is accurate and not theoretical, holy shit. Because again, he said 2 Archviles, 2 Tyrants, and anywhere from 3 to 5 Cybermancubi, or Cybermancubi. And that's not taking into consideration whether if we're going to be seeing Prowlers, Imps, Gargoyles, because obviously we're going to have some type of fodder demon in there for that momentary reprievement. That's the second room. The first room, they said, is also going to be hard, but the second room is the one that they're really concerned about, which is that roster of demons that we just heard. So they were really just talking about pacing. They were bringing up the options of whether including a BFG shot and knowing when exactly to use that, or maybe reducing the overall amount of enemies thrown at you. Because as you can see, if these are the rooms, you can't really move. And then the other room where we got a little bit of concrete information as well is in the room where we get the gem for the Crucible.
There's the room where you get the gem that you put into the Crucible. So that room's got a surprise for you. And what happens is that there's so many dudes right now that just on Nightmare, you're just taking bullets. Like, there's just no stopping it. Like, it gets a little frustrating because you can't, there's no combat puzzle. It's just basically like, yeah, just die, you know? So
that's the puzzle. Die.
Yeah, the puzzle is die.
Who would have thought a year later we'd be saying that game journalists understood this game very well? The puzzle all along was just die. What a plot twist. What to take away from that is there's going to be a surprise in that room, and we're going to have to wait and see what exactly that's going to be. How it's going to turn out too, because he said there's a large volume of enemies in that room, and in its current state, there's really nothing you can do. Again, it's a tight space, or it's kind of a big room, but if we are dealing with a large volume of enemies, then you're not going to be capable of moving or dodging anything all that much. From what it sounds like, they're really trying to get us inside interiors and not so much in the open spaces that Taurus Nabad also has, which is kind of unfortunate. I hope that in the grand scheme of things, that those open areas aren't the areas that we see 2s and 3s or 4 fights where, you know, those are kind of just confidence builders, and interiors are where they're really trying to get us. I mean, if that's the case, I get it. They're potentially trying to break us out of the habit of constantly using the meat hook to move around so much in a vertical sense, almost similar to how they introduced the Spirit to break the whole Super Shock and Ballista routine that everyone was stuck in. But obviously, we're just gonna have to wait and see. That was the concrete stuff. Something else that they did say was that they are genuinely looking into the possibility of a Spectre Marauder as the finale. They said, can't make no promises on how it's going to work or whether if they can make it work, although they do want to see if they can make that as the finale where you can literally just see flashing green eyes at just the right moment of when to attack them. I personally would say, fuck it, just leave it in, maybe for a couple days, and depending on the reaction, and or maybe a week, and depending on how it sits with people, go from there. But that's something they're working on. They also did say that the last stretch of it is all about a marathon, that you are going to be pretty much begging for a checkpoint, although they won't be giving it to you. They said that that is part of the experience. What sucks about that though is Taurus Nabad is such a long level. Hugo has made it clear that they do really want to emphasize pacing, but it's hard to say how they're exactly going to slice up this level in terms of fights. So when that marathon kicks in, it's hard to determine of whether it's going to be when those rooms start, after those rooms start, maybe a little bit before that. It's still kind of all up in the air. What I would say though, I would bet money, is that the introduction to this level is going to be pretty slow. If Tag 1 nerfs and Hugo mentioning that the pacing of Super Gore Nest Master level is pretty poor, I'd imagine that introduction fight, it would be anywhere between, I don't know, a 4 and a 7, no higher than a 7, just to kind of ease everyone into expectations. I'd expect it to be a smarter rather than a harder fight. But of course, as I proved time and again, I'm not that smart. So what do you think about all this? How do you feel about what Hugo's talked about in terms of those two rooms, the room where you get the gem for the Crucible, and even the idea of a Spectre Marauder? How do you feel about that? I can already visualize the frustration. Stupid fucking thing. But moving over into the next part, rewards. Now, when the Super Gore Nest Master level dropped, the ultimate reward was getting the gold combat shotgun, and then for Tag 2, all you had to do was beat every single level on Nightmare, and then you got the remainder guns gold. The only things I can really think of in terms of turning gold as a reward now is the piss beam and the chain gun shield, which kind of feels like a slap in the face if that was a reward. I did bring up the idea of animated cosmetic weapon skins a while back, which I think would also be cool, or even animated Slayer skins, which maybe could be a cool idea to toy around with in the future, but I think I like this idea the most. Weapon level specific cosmetic rewards. So as an example, shout out to Archie who put this together. If you guys want to follow him over on Twitter, the link will be down below in the description. But he put this together for Super Gore Nest. Now obviously we already have the Master level and the Gold Combat Shotgun as a reward, so I think something like this would be neat as a Master level campaign for specifically beating that level on Ultra Nightmare. Then you get rewarded that specific level's Slayer skin. And then you complete additional challenges or even run through that level on Classic mode, and then you get weapon skins that go along with that specific Slayer skin. Or even you put together this one for Mars Core, which is often considered to be the majority of the community's top 3 levels. It's one level that you hear get brought up quite often. You know, it's to see the evolution of a skin like this, where as you level up and start playing with it more and more energy from the BFG starts to run through the suit. You can start to see some of that energy dripping off the Slayer's blade. You get to see it in all its glory and all the cutscenes. I mean, stuff like that would be awesome. Obviously, it's wishful thinking. Id Software is really big on priorities right now, and cosmetics and rewards, let's be honest, does not take priority over concrete content. No one's gonna want more cosmetics over another Master level or another game mode or anything of that sort that's gonna increase the replay value of this game. Especially not in a first-person shooter where you can't even see your damn face or what your character looks like. I was just throwing out the idea of potentially cooler avenues of cosmetics and rewards beyond just, hey, let's make this gold. But to kind of wrap this up, I'm looking forward to Taurus Nabad and all the other future Master levels. Yes, the cool thing of Master levels is that it's going to be a challenge, it's going to add more replay value to the game, but also I feel like it increases the appreciation that we have for these levels. If you're a PC player and you manage to play any of the Master level mods, I'm sure they've all changed your perspective on those levels. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Doom Hunter base in the base campaign was kind of a whatever level for me, but after playing the Master level mod, instantly top 3, hands down. Love that level, and I'd argue that a good Master level is challenging, yes, hands down. It makes you appreciate the combat loop, but it also makes you appreciate the levels, the arena layout, the atmosphere, how each individual arena layout lends itself to help you or to screw you over, for better or for worse. It also shows how versatile some of these arenas really are. But anyways, I'm gonna wrap this up here. Let me know what you think about all this down in the comments section. When do you think Taurus Nabad's Master level is gonna finally come out? I mean, we've been hearing about this since March. Well, I mean, I guess maybe early April. But until next time.